which I was trying to say this to my friends who had children, you're 7 years old and someone is stroking your it feels good. Right. Even though you don't have a name for what that is, it feels good.
Oprah Winfrey ties to trafficking through convicted John of God. Now, this guy's crazy. I actually get a few chills from the story. I done extra research into John of God, doing a few more articles, and this guy's connected to some supernatural entity or something. Like there's something going on.
Because you know he was running with Oprah and them. He was running with that whole crew. Weinstein, Oprah, Epstein. He was running with that whole crew.
Oprah Winfrey, once celebrated as the queen of television, is now under fire over alleged ties to Diddy. This isn't the first time her associations have sparked controversy. Her connection to figures like Harvey Weinstein and Brazilian healer John of God, later convicted of heinous crimes, already tarnished her reputation. In 2013, Oprah even tweeted her excitement about featuring John of God, unintentionally giving him a platform before his dark truths came to light. Now, with Diddy in the headlines, comparisons to past scandals are unavoidable. The question remains, will this be a passing storm for Oprah, or does it mark a deeper dent in her legacy? As her past choices resurface, her status as an icon faces a critical test.
Trafficking through convicted John of God. Now, this guy's crazy. I actually get a few chills from the story. I done extra research into John of God, doing a few more articles, and this guy's connected to some supernatural entity or something. Like there's something going on. Anyway, Oprah Winfrey and her BFF. The man in this photo is, quote, John of God. Oprah promoted him as a miracle healer. This man kept women chained to impregnate so he could sell their babies for organs, adrenochrome harvesting for trafficking, for satanic sacrifice, and who knows what else. He was arrested in December of 2018. Did you hear about it in the mainstream media? No. There are more photos of Oprah and John of God. This is John of God and Maria Donovich.
Miracle worker or monster? He's known as John of God, a celebrity faith healer whose followers claim he can miraculously cure diseases such as cancer. But now, the once beloved guru is accused of hundreds of women. And that's not all. Horrific allegations of baby trafficking and have also surfaced in a case that's sending shockwaves around the world.
He grabbed my hand and he moved it behind me on his pants. And I was like, why do I have to touch your in order for me to get healing?
Last year, Dutch choreographer Zahira Leineke Maus claimed she was twice by celebrity spiritual healer João Teixeira de Faria.
He took it a step further. He penetrated me from behind. I can't even describe it.
After Zahira's Bombshell interview on Brazilian television, authorities were reportedly contacted by more than 600 accusers, ranging in age from 9 to 67, who claim they were by the so-called miracle worker. Faria's accusers include his own daughter, who says her father used her between the ages of 10 and 14. For more than 50 years, Faria has led a spiritual center in rural Brazil, where he claims millions have flocked for his spiritual guidance or healing. From eye scrapings and evasive nose probings to incisions in the skin, John of God has performed countless unlicensed surgical procedures, seemingly with no anesthesia on enraptured followers.
So we all have the possibility in our own way to be a medium for God.
Oprah famously visited Faria at his center in 2012 and was overwhelmed by what she witnessed.
What I just witnessed almost made me pass out.
Faria claims he channels the spirits of dead doctors and biblical figures to perform his miraculous healings. He's also known to perform psychic surgeries, invisible procedures powered by a force he calls the entity. But late last year, Faria was indicted on charges and surrendered himself to police after being on the run. Since then, the disgraced guru has also been accused of running baby farms where girls were impregnated and then 10 years after giving birth. Their infants allegedly sold on the black market. Faria remains behind bars and will face trial on and charges. And joining us now is crimeonline.com's Nancy Grace. And Nancy, John of God has denied all allegations against him. So what evidence are prosecutors working with here?
Well, I'm sure he has denied all of these claims. If these claims are true, that he young teen girls, took babies from them and farmed them out for adoption fees, those children will bear his DNA. And that's pretty incriminating evidence, if it exists.
And Nancy, given his extraordinary celebrity, what's the likelihood, in your opinion, that this once revered guru will be convicted? And then what kind of sentence could he potentially face?
You know, the reality is this, although I don't like it, I accept that it's true. When you are dealing with a celebrity, anything can happen. Everything can go sideways and you end up with a not guilty verdict. Now, in this case, regarding sentencing, if he is sentenced consecutively, which means one after the next, after the next, after the next, instead of concurrently altogether, he's looking at upwards of 70 years behind bars.
Well, as always, Nancy, thank you so much for shedding some light on this very disturbing story.
John of God was just the beginning of Oprah's string of controversial associations. Next on the list, Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein, a longtime ally of Oprah. She didn't just know him, she publicly endorsed him, and in hindsight, that hasn't aged well. With a track record of connections like this, one has to wonder, did Oprah unintentionally find herself among the wrong crowd, or is there something more to these ties?
Rose McGowan has put Oprah on blast.
He seemingly suggested in the caption that Oprah knew the Hollywood producer was mistreating women.
He took hold of me and stood me in front of the mirror. And he's like touching me, rubbing me, and he's like, just relax.
And if we make this just about Harvey Weinstein, then we will have lost this moment.
Oprah Winfrey will do anything to defend her powerful friends, even when her friends, like Harvey Weinstein, are complete monsters. She was there while he took advantage of hundreds of women. Harvey even used his friendship with Oprah to trap victims. But Oprah didn't stop it, and she sat on the sidelines and maybe even provided Harvey with additional victims. This is a sick situation and a twisted friendship. Media outlets, especially right-wing ones, have resurfaced pictures of Oprah that she probably would prefer to keep hidden because she has been around this man for so long that really there's no way that she didn't know that this was going on. An aspiring actor who alleges that Harvey forced himself on her in his hotel room said that he used his relationship with Oprah to groom her. So Harvey would use his relationship with Oprah to go and flex on these other people and, probably make some offers that he was never going to keep. He just wanted to get them in the room so then he can go and harm them. One person told the media that they were impressed by Harvey Weinstein when they met him because he had Oprah swinging off his arm. They said, "I thought obviously this man has something amazing in store for me, especially if he's got Oprah on his side." She's the same woman who met with Harvey in his hotel room to show off her reel, but he wanted to use her for
Oprah eventually addressed the Weinstein scandal, calling his downfall a watershed moment for women everywhere. But for a lot of folks, her words felt about as genuine as a reality show confession. Why? Because behind the scenes, she reportedly kept supporting Weinstein, allegedly even ringing him up for a little jailhouse pep talk. Big yikes. The move left people scratching their heads, questioning her sincerity, and labeling the whole thing as peak hypocrisy.
And it doesn't help that Harvey Weinstein's team leaked that Oprah called him to show her support for him. After allegations of his misconduct were exposed, Weinstein told his friends that Oprah called him to offer her support. This is a claim that she, of course, denies. According to TMZ, Harvey Weinstein said that Oprah encouraged him to defend himself publicly, but her people said they never spoke directly and she was only interested in talking to him for a TV interview. okay, great, let's platform him. We're told that Harvey said that a number of powerful people have called him to voice their support, but he singled out Oprah over and over. Oprah was supposedly interested in doing a 60 minutes interview with Harvey Weinstein, but made it clear that she was only interested if he'd look in the mirror and give her the honest truth. I don't know if we were gonna get the truth ever, and I don't think that Oprah would be able to pull it out of her good friend, and at one point she did put out a statement saying that his behavior is hideous. She said she also agrees with people who blame the enablers. I mean, we just talked about Michael Jackson and how his company's being sued because his company looked the other way when all these little boys were sent to his home, allegedly. But Oprah is an enabler. She's one of those people that he used to leverage and to get what he wanted. She actually wrote this on Facebook saying, "I've been processing the accounts of Harvey Weinstein's hideous behavior, and I haven't been able to find the words to articulate the magnitude of the situation." AKA, she doesn't want to say much more. She did share this one quote: "This is the story of one predator and his many victims, but it is also a story about an overwhelming systemic enabling, and until that story is fully told, we will fall far short of stopping future depredations on a similar scale." And again, that's another way of Oprah kind of acknowledging the situation, but trying to paint it as a big...
Oprah eventually spoke out about the Weinstein scandal, calling his fall from grace a pivotal moment for women. However, for many, her words ring hollow, like a scripted reality show confession. Why? Because behind the scenes, Oprah allegedly continued to support Weinstein, even reportedly calling him for a pep talk while he was in jail. Big yikes. This move left many questioning her sincerity, with some dubbing it a moment of peak hypocrisy.
And acting like she was dumbfounded that this guy would do this. Like, she's been in show business for 35 years and she can't like wrap her head around some guy doing whatever it takes to get to the next level. Didn't she for the first 5 years have like midgets who wanted to bang their mailman's boyfriend? And she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to do it, but she didn't have the power to say no, so she wrote it out. And then when she could make a good decision, she did a show, but she stood on the heads of those little people for 5 years until she got, and then she's sitting there across from this guy like, so how could you know exactly what he's doing. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
While Oprah's connections to Weinstein and John of God may have been brief, her relationship with Diddy carries a much more complicated undertone. Some critics have even labeled her Hollywood's charming pimp, accusing her of using her influence to pull strings for A-listers like Justin Bieber. Comedian Bill Burr didn't hold back either, calling Oprah out for pretending to be unaware during the Weinstein scandal. Let's face it, in Hollywood, no one's just friends without a reason. Burr's point: in an industry where every move is calculated, Oprah couldn't have been oblivious to Weinstein's actions. This take has many rethinking her carefully crafted image.
A good idea to open up a boarding school in South Africa. She was inspired by Nelson Mandela and made a promise to him that she was going to create this school. The academy is called Leadership Academy for Girls. Actually, the government of South Africa was against Oprah opening this school because it's an extremely expensive place and the population there is extremely poor. But yet she opens this school and it's got salons in it, it's got gyms in it. I mean, some people think that this was a place for kids to be human trafficked because they would go and get them ready there for sale. And honestly, we don't need to talk about that conspiracy, but we need to talk about the scandals that have gone down at this school.
These are my girls. These are my girls.
Okay, look up, man.
So Oprah built this $40 million school in South Africa, and they had 152 students attend. Oprah actually handpicked the 152 students who attended her, but it wasn't long until some of these students were being harmed by one of the employees of the school. Her name is Virginia, and she was 27 years old at the time, and she was charged with 13 counts of getting inappropriate with the kids. Virginia got physical physical with at least 6 students aged 13 to 15. So these students were handpicked by Oprah to go and live at this academy, and one of these employees who is managing the dorm is physically touching them and doing things to them and harming them. This was a bad look for South Africa because they have had a problem with children being harmed at school by these employees. But ultimately, Oprah put them in this situation to be harmed by this employee. And this wasn't the only scandal that went down at this academy, but Oprah actually decided to travel to South Africa after the news broke about Virginia. She brought a team of investigators to go to the school and get to the bottom of what actually went down.
6 students of the 152 accepted students by Oprah to attend the institution, laying accusations on the dorm matron Virginia Tinley Mascabo. She was accused of physical and that she had a plea of not guilty to this effect. It was quite a thing of shock and pain to Oprah to have this kind of allegation leveled against something having her name as a forefront. On returning to South Africa with a team of private detectives to investigate the allegations and personally to speak with the girls, Oprah said, "It has shaken me to my core that this is one of the most devastating, if not the most devastating experiences of my life." The news did not only reflect badly on her, but it also reflected badly on the nation.
So it's a good thing that Oprah decided to go to the school in South Africa and investigate because, yes, her name is tied to this school, and if any sketchy things go down there, it's going to be associated with Oprah. Unfortunately, that employee, Virginia, was cleared of all charges. You guys know the justice system is messed up in the US. Well, it's messed up everywhere, and she didn't get in trouble or was held accountable for harming these girls. But actually, Virginia decided to flip the script and try to sue Oprah for defamation for claiming that she did these things to these girls, yet she was found innocent. But that wasn't the only scandal that came out of Oprah's school, because ever since it's been open, there's been scandal after scandal. Less than 2 years later, there was another incident where some students were getting physical with each other, and there was a 15-year-old who urged to these victims to keep everything on the down low and not to tell their parents or investigators what happened. So 7 students were suspended from the school, and these girls were alleged to have been intimidating others into partaking in inappropriate behaviors. A letter sent to one of the suspended girls' parents reportedly read, "You have been found guilty of physical contact of a intimate nature with another person on campus, harassment, bullying of other girls on campus, and of being dishonest by not telling investigators the whole truth." So I don't understand why Oprah just went to this school like less than a year ago to fix things, yet this is still going on. I mean, how does this 15-year-old get away with preying on their schoolmates and coercing them into lying to officials about it? Now, this next scandal we're going to be talking about is extremely triggering, so I want to give you guys a trigger warning because it's about to get graphic. So less than 2 years after the second scandal, cops found the body of a dead newborn at Oprah's school. So pretty much one of Oprah's hand-picked students who had not been identified gave birth at their school, which is located in South Africa. And I guess this student decided to take the baby's life. The baby was actually found in one of the student's backpacks, which... oh my gosh, it's gonna make my eye twitch. Like, I'm starting to black out. Like, the baby's body was found in one of the student's bags, and the student who gave birth to the baby actually went to the hospital and was treated for excessive bleeding because I guess they gave birth in the school and just had the baby in the bag. Obviously, that's a horrific situation, and who knows what was going on in that young girl's life to lead her to do that. Oprah doesn't necessarily have control over that, but she does have control over who she's friends with.
So how exactly does Oprah fit into Harvey Weinstein's web of scandal? A closer look leads to her girls' school in South Africa. Despite the government's disapproval, the school was built anyway. What was really happening behind those walls? Was it a genuine effort for empowerment, or is there a darker story hiding beneath the surface?
Hi, Jamie Foxx. It's Oprah Winfrey. And I ended up having to go meet with her and says, "Jamie, you got a real opportunity to win this, but you got to slow down." Because I didn't know it was a campaign.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So she ended up taking me to a party And at the party, it was at Quincy Jones's house. And Quincy comes up, hey man, you're doing a great job, man. That Ray Charles, man, you killed that son of a man. It's amazing, man. Man, yeah, come on in, man. I see the records on the wall. And they say I'm sleeping with everybody. And everybody yelling. I said, so I'm laying in bed with Oprah. I lean over to Gail and say, hey, crazy. Yo, we getting together. Yo, Stedman, get us some juice. But Oprah was definitely
rubbing your shoulders on her show. She was loving you, bro.
We had a connection. If it was right, I didn't want to disrespect.
What about Jamie?
You've been in rooms.
I know Jamie.
What's your?
Me and Jamie shared a manager, Breon.
Shout out Breon. Yes.
Yeah, somebody please put him on a milk cart. No one's seen him since Jamie went into the hospital. I hope Breon's okay. Hope he didn't have a stroke.
Does the Claudia Jordan thing stem from that?
No, not really. That's more about the transgender assistants that were constantly engaged to come and party with Jamie because everyone knows he likes transgender women. He went after my Gigi. Want to know when we met all up together? When they met my Gigi?
Go ahead.
At a party at Park. It was the second inauguration for the Obamas, and I was there as a guest at the party, like I was at the first inauguration. And I brought Gigi with me, and Jamie had his eye on her. And Breon asked me if it was cool. And I said, everybody here is grown. Gigi was quite catnip. I mean, if you look at her, she's amazing. But I never let her fake it. I never let her pretend to be a woman. But I always insisted that she behaved like one. The transgender girls that I took care of and I looked after who were in the business or worked with the business or clients held in the business, I always demanded that they think highly of themselves. They had keys to my house, so on the nights where they couldn't go home and they didn't trick enough money, they didn't have to keep tricking, Come to the house. Food will be on the stove. Don't die tonight. Because a lot of them end up in dumpsters. So yeah, Jamie done a lot. The basketball games that he hosted. I mean, everybody knew. And there's no point in me hiding it now because his fate has been sealed, whatever it may be. But everybody knew if you went to a party at Jamie's house that at midnight, the witching hour began. And basically he would have a party and everybody would be in there. But at 12 o'clock, the women would start to take off their clothes and you would have to guess if you were with a cisgender woman or a transgender woman. So some of these dudes, they already been making out with these chicks, they already been doing all kinds of stuff. And then the clothes come off and you figure out whether or not you got a chick or a chick with a That was a standard. Or the night that another male R&B artist that I know, and I've already spoke about this, I'm not gonna put you out there, but you know exactly who you are. You know you was there underneath that piano sucking Jamie's while he was playing Mozart. And he taped it and I saw it. Now I've already spoke about this on another channel and I'm not gonna say your name this time because you didn't sue me. So we already know what it is. But what I will say is this. Tonka trucks are Tonka trucks, not tanks. You got played with, and that's just what it is.
Diddy and Oprah's connections to Jamie Foxx could offer some insight into his recent mysterious hospitalization. It might seem far-fetched at first, but as the pieces start to align, the situation takes a darker turn. What's really happening behind the scenes? These connections may be more than mere coincidence.
On Earth. But is she really? Actress MoNique accused her of going behind her back and betraying her. They were good friends until Oprah invited MoNique's family onto her talk show without MoNique knowing. Sick of being taken advantage of, MoNique decided to speak out, but it only made things worse.
For 8 years, my family has suffered and my career has suffered.
What really happened when MoNique finally confronted Oprah?
Oprah Winfrey, you know what you need to do and stop hiding. People are beginning to see you for who you are. A lot of people said, how could you say that? Oprah is a human being. She bleeds, she breathes, and one day she'll expire. And if you feel like there's something you need to say to anyone, I feel like you should say it.
When it comes to Oprah and MoNique's falling out, it's actually more complicated than it seems. We discovered that it's deeply personal. So both Oprah and MoNique grew up in very households. MoNique had always looked up to Oprah ever since she was young.
I'm a little black fat girl from Baltimore, Maryland. And I saw this fat black woman on a TV show. We took a field trip to that studio. And I hugged that woman. And I said, when I grow up, Miss Winfrey, I want to do what you do. And she said, you know, you gotta work really hard.
And she did just that. She worked extremely hard and achieved her dreams of becoming a stand-up comedian. And every time her path crossed with Oprah, they grew closer and closer.
That woman hugged me and said, when I look at you, I ain't doing nothing but looking at me. And I shared my relationship with her about my mother, as she shared hers with me.
And so by the time she got her big break doing the movie Precious, it was a great opportunity for her to work with Lee Daniels, which was an old friend, and Oprah as well. Everybody was so used to seeing MoNique as a comedian that nobody was expecting her to do such a great job.
The first thing I said to her was, who's your favorite designer? Because you need to get your dress ready to walk down that red carpet to the Oscars, girl.
Everyone was talking about MoNique's performance. Now producers are wanting to fly her around the world. They want her to promote the movie. But at this point, her priorities had already shifted.
There was a request from the movie studio that I fly to France for the Cannes Film Festival. I simply said I respectfully declined. And I said to them, my deal is with Lee Daniels, and I've done my job. I did all of my contractual obligations, and I was done.
Why wouldn't she want to go to Cannes?
At this point, she'd already had 2 failed marriages. By the 3rd marriage, she was desperate to spend time with her family.
When they called, I had a couple days just downtime. I wanted to spend that with my husband and my kids. I said, guys, I'm spending time with my family. I'm gonna pass. And they all agreed.
MoNique thought she had the support of everybody, Oprah, the producers, but it was far from the truth.
We were on the campaign, and she was making unreasonable demands. You gotta play ball. This is not just show. It's show business.
And the backlash only got worse.
I got labeled as difficult because I said one word, and that was no. Now I said no to some very powerful people. What Tyler Perry showed me, Lee Daniels, Oprah Winfrey, and Lionsgate. When you don't do what we ask you to do, we'll take your livelihood.
But this isn't the only difficulty that MoNique is facing at the time. So while she's getting backlash because she wasn't playing the game, MoNique had been betrayed by somebody that she never saw coming. This is where things shift from professional to deeply personal.
What happened?
Oprah Winfrey called us up, and she said my brother wanted to come on the show.
Your older brother you described as a monster, and he
Yes.
from the time you were
7.
How did he you? Are we talking about
Yes. She said, if you don't want me to have your brother on the show, I will cancel the show. But I wanted to call you up to see how you felt first.
MoNique thought Oprah had her back, but that was not the case.
I began to see commercials with my brother, my mother, my father, and my other brother. Now, the reason why that means so much is because in the conversation we had about my brother, we then went deeper and we began to talk about our relationships.
So what's your take? Will Oprah maintain her throne and continue ruling over her billion-dollar empire, or is she about to face the fallout from her connections? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an update. Until next time, fam, stay real.